Hi, my name is Kurt Lammy. I am the pastor at St Paul Lutheran Church on Dogleg Road in Dayton, Ohio. And I'd like to take a moment today to think with you about why is it okay to doubt your faith? For some people, that might seem like, no, it's not okay. When you have faith, you just accept it. And if you doubt, that means you don't have a strong faith. I want to push against that. When we doubt, that actually reinforces our faith. Now, I know that might sound strange, so let me explain. First of all, what is faith? Faith does not mean intellectual consent to a list of ideas. Faith is not the same as belief. Faith is much more about trust. When we doubt, that doesn't mean we're not saying, oh, I'm not sure if I believe this anymore. When we doubt, we're wondering things like, is God still with me? Does God care about me? Is God involved in the world? These types of questions. When we ask those questions, though, the very fact that we're asking them shows that we do still have faith. Let me put it this way. Think, for example, about the story of Jacob wrestling with God. When he's wrestling, when he's struggling with God, he is struggling with God. It's not like God's not there anymore. Part of the life of faith involves this struggle. That's how we grow. Jacob's name in that wrestling match at the end, his name was changed to Israel, which means one who struggles with God. So God's people, the people of Israel, were named after someone who struggled with God. Their whole identity was based upon this struggle. It wasn't one who's loved by God or one who's blessed by God. It's one who struggles with God. Struggling with God is just a very basic part of this life of faith. For example, sometimes it's been said that the devil attacks those who are doing God's will. When you are doing God's will, when you're doing what God has called you to do, and you hear that voice of doubt, when you hear that voice of despair or feeling like you're not good enough to do this, that voice that's attacking you is in a strange sort of way complimenting you for doing God's will. When we don't hear those things, when we don't hear those voices of doubt in our head, those are the times that we're not doing God's will. Because, as some people say, why would the devil attack people who aren't doing God's will in the first place? If you're just off doing whatever you want to do, then in those situations, you're not going to be doubting whether you're doing God's will. You just won't be thinking about God at all. And that is the real opposite of faith. The opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith, if there is such a thing, is apathy. It's just not caring. Now, there are plenty of people in this world who just don't care about God. Maybe you've heard the term the nuns, not N-U-N-S, like the women who devote themselves to God, but N-O-N-E-S, as in none, but plural. This group of people is the group that, when asked about their religious affiliation on some survey, will check the box that says none, as in no religious affiliation. They just don't care. For those of us who do care, for those of us who do want to do God's will, for those of us who do want to show God's love in the world, when you have those doubts, those questions, those insecurities, that's just that's just a way to remind you that you are doing God's will. It sounds backwards, and I know it's tough. I go through those same struggles myself. But remember Jacob's wrestling match again. Jacob went through that struggle, and then he became a new person. He wrestled with God. And so as we wrestle with God, we become new people too. We listen to God, we follow God, we wrestle, we doubt, we struggle, but that's just all part of the life of faith. So next time you encounter doubt, or next time you wonder, am I really doing God's will? Maybe you really are. You just have this voice in your head that's trying to convince you otherwise. Please leave a comment to this video and let me know what you think about the relationship between faith, doubt, and apathy. Thanks for watching.